Okay, and welcome back to yet another one of these classical Japanese analysis videos, specifically for the game Okami, because as they announced the new sequel to Okami a few months back, I decided that I wanted to go through and analyze the classical Japanese that does show up in Okami as part of a smaller part of the greater thing that I'm doing where I'm analyzing the classical Japanese in games and hopefully in the future anime as well. So today we're going to be getting into celestial brush technique number, I think we're on 10 or 11. I'm pretty sure it's number 10, okay? I think it's number 10. And this one is Kasugami, okay? This is the sheep. This is the one that gives you the time, the power where you can slow down time and whatnot. So we're going to go over what he says. I am going to, again, try to make this a little bit quick. I'm going to skip over some of the basic stuff that I've gone over many, many times in the previous video. So if you want to know more details, please check out the other ones. But let's just go ahead and get going, okay? So here is celestial brush technique number 10. I can't remember what the power is actually called, but it's a Kasugami. Here we go. And of course, we have to watch the opening, because this one in particular is rather funny. So he's got a big hyotan, right? A big gourd that the ancient Japanese would use to store all sorts of drink. And in this case, he's got some kind of spicy drink. We'll say spicy. And they're throwing biwas at him. I mean, it's kind of a silly joke, but it's funny. They had a lot of fun making this game. They just wanted it to be funny. And in this part, you are miniature. Okay, so in this part, you are miniature. That's why you can see Isumboshi there, who's your same size, basically. So you shrink down really far. So, okay. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over his name. Kasugami, okay? So this first kanji here, kasu, kasuka, right? It's related to the word kasumi, which means hazy, okay? Haze or mist, right? Kasumi means like mist or haze. So kasuka means like dim, specifically. Kasukanari means dim or dark. Like you can still see it, but it's not like completely dark. It's hazy, it's faint. It's not hard to really, it's hard to really get a good grasp on, okay? So we have kasu and then gami means, kami comes from kami means God, okay? Then we have our regular intro, o warera ga jibo amaterasu o mikami, okay? O ware is I, warera is us, warera ga is our. And then jibo is a Chinese loan word that means compassionate mother. Ji means like compassion or like a kind of love. I know it in the word jiai, which means like charity. Charity in the sense that like you love somebody, you have compassionate love for somebody, right? And then bo comes from just means mother. And then amaterasu okami. Amaterasu is a mix of two words, ame. Yeah, ama, which means heaven. And terasu means to shine or to light up, okay? So Amaterasu literally means like heaven shining. You can imagine that. That means the sun, because the sun is the thing that lights up the heavens, right? And you have O Mikami. O means big or great. And then Kami means God. And then this mi in the middle of it is like an ancient Japanese honorific thing that denotes like, specifically used to denote spiritual power of some kind. Very, very large spiritual power. So Kasugami, the hazy god, haze god, I guess you could say. Or like dim god or faint god or something like that. And then here's the little opening, okay? Moving on. Okay, so ware means I. We just went over that. Omoto yori. Again, omoto, I explained this multiple times in previous videos, but omoto and where it comes from, why they use this. But omoto in this instance is basically just a second person pronoun. It just means you, but it's honorific, even though I've never actually read omoto used like this in classical Japanese texts at all. But hey, you know what? We do it this way because it makes sense to the modern Japanese people who we're making this game for, right? So I, and then you, okay? Yori. Yori just means from. It's a particle that means from. So like, koko yori soko made. From here to there. Koko means here. Yori means from. Soko means there. Made. Until. From here to there. Okay? So yori just means from. Omoto yori from you. Hanareshi nochi. Okay? Hanareshi comes from the root verb hanaru. Okay? Which means to separate. To separate or be separated. Okay, how we go from hanaru to hanare, which is the soft connected form, is the denyoke, technically is what it's called, because we are attaching this shi on the end of it. And shi, the ending form, the normal form of shi is ki, which is a past. It's a past recollective, from what I understand. It's not that it's a pure past tense, but it's a past recollective. It's like recalling something from a long time ago. Usually, it doesn't necessarily have to be a long time ago. But the thing about ki, though, is ki is in the ending form. So hanare ki. If we were ending the sentence with this verb, it would be hanare ki. Okay. However, we are ending it with shi because the shi is the attributive form, which is, again, if you've seen this video, these videos, you probably are very familiar. The attributive form is everywhere, and the attributive form is the form of a verb that modifies a noun that comes after it, okay? So we go from hanare ki, so we go from hanaru to hanare, and then hanare ki to hanare shi, and then we go hanare shi nochi, okay? Nochi is a noun that means after or behind, okay? So ware omoto yori hanare shi nochi. So after I separated from you, because that's the thing with these brushstroke gods, is they are all technically like bunshin. What's a bunshin in English? I forgot the English word. They're all like avatars. They're all like aspects of Amaterasu. They're Amaterasu's powers that are scattered all over Japan, and you have to, or what do they call this? The Hinomoto, or whatever they call it. But you have to go collect them. They are all part of Amaterasu. So he's saying that after I was separated from you, ma yori nogarem to, okay? Ma just means like demons, okay? Demons, or this kanji is the same ma and maho, which means magic, right? But it means like magic or demons, evil, wickedness, something like that. And then here's that yori again. So from the demons, nogarem to, okay? Comes from the root verb nogaru. In modern Japanese, nogareru. So that's the thing is, in modern Japanese, hanadu is hanareru, okay? But in classical Japanese, it was hanaru. And then we have ma yori nogarem. Nogaru goes to nogare for the actually a different reason technically. Even though it's kind of the same thing, it's this de here, de, hanade, nogare. This de in nogare is a different conjugation than this. This one over here, this hanade, is the renyoke. It's a soft connective form that allows you to take a verb and stick it other things on the end of it and basically make one brand new word. However, this nogare, this is the mizenke. This is the not yet complete form, or the not yet done form, okay? And you use the not yet done form for negation, hanarezu, not separate, causative, hanaresu, hanaresasu, okay? In modern Japanese, hanaresasu, right? Hanareseru? Actually, I don't even remember. Nogareseru? Nogaresaseru? Something like that. In classical Japanese, it would be nogaresu, okay? Or you use it in this case for volition/speculation, right? Because we go from nogaru to nogare, so we can stick this on the end, which the originally came from mu. And mu basically just denoted, again, one of two things, depending on the context. Either volition, like I will do something, or speculation. Like maybe this will happen, it might happen, maybe, not sure. Now, in this case, it's denoting volition. So, ma yori nogarem to, okay? This to is the quotation particle, I guess you could say. It's something that you put after, like, things like to say, like, to, or you after the to, you put verbs like to think, or to say, or to hear. So, to yomu means read that. To you means say that, okay? So, the best way you can translate this to is that, okay? Ma yori nogarem to. So, thinking that I will, intentionally expressing intention to escape. Nogaru, I forgot, means to escape from, okay? Ma yori nogarem to. Thinking to escape from the demons. Kuniju o samayoi taru ga, okay? So, kuniju, kuni means the country. So, he's wandering around the country, right? And then ju is technically a Chinese loan word that just means inside. So wandering inside the country. So kuniju means all over the country, okay? Inside the country, all over the country. That's kind of what the ju means. Ichinichi ju. So ichinichi means a single day, and then ichinichi ju means like all day long, okay? So kuniju just means all over inside the country. And then we have the object particle o, which denotes the part of the sentence that is the object, which is the part of the sentence that is going to be receiving the action of the following verb, which is samayo, okay? Or samayo itaru in this case. Samayo means to wander, to, aimlessly wander about, to be lost, kind of a thing. However, we go from sama yo u, or technically in classical Japanese, I believe it would have been sama yo hu, but whatever. But sama yo u goes to sama yo I, which is that soft connective form that we use, the same thing with hanare here, right? However, because of the nature of this verb, sama yo, instead of having it as a de, we have it as I, okay? Sama yo I, and the reason why we conjugate it with this soft connective form is because we're sticking on this taru, okay? Taru, the original form is tari in the original form. The ending form is tari, the normal form. Tari just means to do something continuously, right? Or past tense. It can also work as kind of a past tense because the idea is you do something and then it continues in that state, okay? However, we go from samayoi tari into samayoi taru, which is the attributive form, which again, where do we see that? Is the shi, okay? It's like the shi, the attributive form. The attributive form, again, modifies a noun. But the thing is, and if you've seen previous videos, you all understand this, this is not modified. There's no noun here. The noun is implied. So you'd think something like a koto or a toki or something like that. So, kuniju o samayo, I can't speak Japanese. Kuniju o samayoi taru ga, okay? And then this ga is just a, I guess technically it's the topic, no, not the topic, it's a subject particle. It marks the subject of a sentence, the part of the sentence that is doing the action. However, in this instance, it's kind of just like a general all-purpose connection is what it's doing. It's just saying, like, we're not done with the sentence, but there's more that's coming, so just be aware of that. It's basically how it's functioning. So after I separated from you, thinking to escape from the demons, wandering around wandering around the whole of the country. Okay. Kono Yokoshima naru hyotan ni. Okay. So kono means this. Okay. And then Yokoshima is it's not technically, in this instance, they're kind of sticking naru on the end of it in order to make it into an adjective, but I guess technically this is probably a noun. But Yokoshima means wicked, evil, bad in just general, right? However, we stick this naru on the end of it, and naru comes from the root verb nari, which is the classical Japanese verb to be. Okay, this is a very important verb. It's everywhere. Nari. However, nari is the ending form of that verb. Okay, and we have naru, and the naru is the attributive form, which means that it's modifying a noun, and the noun that it's modifying is hyotan. Okay, so Yokoshima naru hyotan. Hyotan again is like this thing that Kasugami has on his back. It's that like hollowed out gourd, right? That the Japanese would use to put liquids in and carry around with them. It's basically the closest thing that they have to, a whiskey flask, right? But I mean, you'd put all sorts of stuff in there. You wouldn't put just like alcoholic drinks in there. But that's how you carry it around liquids. That's how you carry it around drink, right? So Yokoshima naru. So Yokoshima naru hyotan ni. And the ni is just a prepositional particle. It just means to, in, at, on, by. We have all of these different prepositions. In English, they just have ni in Japanese, okay? So, kono Yokoshima naru. So, this hyotan, that becomes evil, that is evil, that be's evil, I guess you could say. So, this evil, in this evil hyotan, in this evil gourd, toraerare, okay? This comes from the root verb toraeru, or torau, in classical Japanese, torau, then we go from torau to toraerare, okay? Torau. What would it be toru? Torau. I think it'd be torau, right? However, what we do here is we go from torau, and then we want to make it reflexive? We want to make it passive, is essentially what he's doing, is the conjugation here. Is he's making it passive. So we go from torau to torae, which is the not complete form, the mizenke form, which we saw previously, which is the not done form. Again, you use that with negation or causation or whatever. Or in the case that we saw, it was with volition/speculation. So torae, or torau goes to torae, so we can stick the passive radu on the end of it, okay? Radu. So torae radu. So torau means to grab or to take, to catch. Catch, I think is the best word. Torau means to catch. Torae radu means to be caught, okay? However, we go from toraedaru to toraerare because this day is once again the denyoke. It's the soft connecting form, which means that we're not done yet. We're still going to keep going, okay? And we're kind of combining this with the following sentence, right? So, この横島なる氷炭に捕らえられ, okay? Having been caught in this evil gourd, ここに眠りはべりぬ, okay? So, ここ means here. So, この means this, ここ means here, okay? And then there's that prepositional particle, ここに in here or at here, by here, okay? ここに in here, 眠りはべりぬ, okay? 眠り comes from the root verb nemuru, right? Which means to sleep, to fall asleep, okay? However, we go from nemuru, which is the ending form, it's how you would end a sentence, and then we're putting it in that. Man, there's a lot of denyoke. There's a lot of soft connective forms here, right? Nemuri, and the reason why we put it in soft connective form is because we're sticking this haberinu on the end of it. Now, haberinu comes from the root verb haberu, okay? Hamberu is another way you can say that. And this is actually the kanji that you use to write samurai, because another way that you can actually read this is saburo, okay? Saburo, okay? But this basically just means to serve. And what would end up happening, right, is you had the people in on the lower rungs of society, whenever they did something around or to their superiors or for their superiors, they used to just say that I would do this thing and I serve you, my lord, kind of a thing. And eventually this haberi just kind of became like a thing that you could stick on the end of a verb to make it deferential, to denote that you are placing yourself or you are beneath another person on the social ladder. It's just kind of like a very polite thing. It's almost kind of like the modern Japanese masu, right? Wakarimasu. You have wakaru, which means to understand, and you have wakarimasu, which just makes it means the same thing, it's just polite, right? It's just more polite and deferential. So, nemuri haberinu. So, nemuri means to go to sleep. Hameri means to do something politely or in deference to somebody else as a servant and in service of somebody. And then, the interesting thing about haberi is like nari, its ending form actually ends in the di. Unlike a lot of the other verbs which end in u, some kind of form of u. However, it's also, the di is also the soft connective form. So we have soft connective form, so we can stick the haberi on. And then the haberi is also in the soft connective form, so we can stick the nu on the end of it. And what is this nu? This nu is also another, it's almost a quasi past tense, right? It denotes completion. Like you do something and boom, it's done. Okay? It's not necessarily in the past, right? You can actually even use haberi nu or like the nu and put beshi on the end of it or something like that, and it kind of becomes future, but it means that something will be done completely in the future, okay? Something will be done. So, nemuri haberi nu. So, this you can kind of think as nemuri means to sleep, haberi means to do so or deferentially, and then nu, to do so completely, means I completely fell asleep. So, この横島なる氷炭に捕らえられ, I was caught by this evil hyotan, and here I went to sleep. Okay? So, omoto no ochikara ni te. Okay, so omoto just means you, and then no is possessive, so that means goes from omoto you to omoto no means your. Omoto no chikara ochikara ni te. So o just means it's just an honorific thing. You put it in front of stuff to make things honorific, because he's speaking to Amaterasu, who he considers as, his ruler, his god, his lord, his goddess, I guess you could say. And then o chikara just means power. Okay, that's it. Power, magic, ability. And then nite. Okay, so this is the prepositional particle ni, combined with the connective particle, the hard connective particle te. And the difference between te connection and the soft connection, which we've seen like a billion of in this in Kasugami's little spiel here. The difference is te, from what I can understand, is like a harder separation, right? Basically what it does is it means that like when you separate something with te, it's that you're not combining, you're continuing the sentence. And there's a sense of like chronologicalness, like this happens definitively and then we move on to the other things. Whereas the soft connective form, you connecting things with the soft connective form, the denyoke, and that's why I call it the soft connective form, is because that allows you to take words and stick them together to make bigger words, right? So te is much more defined and it's much harder separation. And the renyoke technically is a softer separation, which allows things to blend together. Now you can use either of them to continue sentences, and there's a little difference in the nuance of how you do that, but generally that's what's happening. However, when you have this interesting this interesting combination of ni and te, that became the modern Japanese de particle, because you have ni, te, n, te, n, de, right? So that means by means of, is basically what I'm getting at. When you have ni te, it basically means by means of. So, omoto no chikara ni te, by means of your power, of your honorific power. Waga fuin, okay? Waga comes from ware, which means I, and waga just means my. And then fuin is a Chinese loan word. Fu means to seal, well, means to shut up, to close up, to seal. And then in, right, is another word for seal. So we've got seal, okay? A fuin just is a seal, or bindings, or what have you. So waga fuin, my bindings, tokareshi ima, okay? Tokareshi comes from the root verb toku, which means to undo, to unravel, to unwind, right? Toku goes from toku, which is the ending form, to toka, because we're doing it, putting it again in that mizenke, in that not yet completed form, because we're doing, once again, passive voice, okay? We're speaking passively. So we go from toku to tokaru. Tokaru is the passive, it's the ending form of the passive form. The ending form of the passive form. Again, this is getting a little complicated. So tokaru goes to tokade, because this is the soft connective form, because we're sticking this shi on, which again is just the attributive form of ki, which is how you the attributive form of ki, which is a past tense thing. It is a recollective thing, but we're modifying the noun ima, okay? Ima means now. So now, it has been undone. Now, been undone, my seal, okay? By your power. So by your power, now that my seals has been released, has been undone by your power. Okay. Kono means this. Again, this Kasugami. I Kasugami. This Kasugami. Me. I Kasugami, the dim god, the god of faintness, faint god. Kambi naru. Okay, so kambi is just a Chinese loan word. It comes from this first kanji means sweet, and then bi means beautiful, but it also means tasty. So kambi just means sweet, like delicious. And then again we have this naru, which we saw with the Yokoshima naru, right? It means to be, but it's an attributive thing. So kambi naru okay? Is another Chinese loan word. Means cloud, and mu means like mist. So just means like a cloudy mist, right? So the sweet, so I Kasugami, kambi naru, the mist that is sweet. O, and then O is that object particle, which means that the mist that is sweet is going to be receiving the action, and the action is motte, okay? Motte is another way of saying by means of. I'm just going to put it that way, okay? Motte. So by means of this mist that is sweet, I Kasugami. Omoto no omae o. So omoto no means yours, again. Omae o. So again is a honorific word. It's how you honor, you make certain things honorific, and then mae means in front of. So honorific before. Omae wa, before you, okay? In modern Japanese, omae is actually a very informal way of saying you. Like, I wouldn't recommend saying it to random people, but a long time ago, omae just means in your presence, before you, the space before you, the honorific space before you. So omae just means in your presence, okay? So omae o, so before you, your honorific in front of. Omae o means that that's going to be receiving the action, and the action is ayashiku irodoran, okay? So ayashiku comes from the root verb ayashi, which means suspicious, or in this instance, I think surprisingly, like amazingly, like wow, I never would have guessed. So ayashiku, because it's the root word is an adjective, ayash, okay? Strange, unusual, surprising in this instance. But we go from ayashi, which is an adjective, to ayashiku, which is an adverb. So it means that we're doing something in this manner. We're doing something this surprising. So ayashi means surprising. Ayashiku means surprisingly. And then irodoram comes from technically the root verb is irodoru, which comes from two words, iro, which means color, and then toru, which means to take. So take color, okay? However, when you put them together, when you irodoru basically just means to like color something, to make something colorful, okay? So we go from irodoru to irodora, which again is the mizenke, it's the not yet completed form, because we're sticking this yet again on there, which is speculation, or in this instance, it's actually volition. Like, I intend to do this. It is my intention, it is my will to do this, okay? So I, Kasugami, by means of the mist that becomes sweet, your presence before you, the path before you, the space before you, I will color beautifully, wondrously. Wondrously, that's a good word for that, okay? And then sort of, okay, so let's go back and just go over this one more time. All right, so, O warega jibo amaterasu o mikami, O our compassionate mother, great goddess, heaven shining. After I separated from you, okay, after I separated from you, thinking to escape the demons and the evil and the magic, the evil magic, thinking to escape from the demons, wandering the country, wandering all over the country, I was captured by this evil hyotan, this evil gourd, and fell asleep here. Now that my shackles have been undone by your honorific power, your majestic power, by means of, I, Kasugami, by means of this mist, this sweet tasting mist, I will wondrously color all that is before you. That which is before you. Oh, and then I'm going to talk about this kanji right here, this kasu or kasuka, right? Another way that you can pronounce this is yu, and it's the same yu in yure, right? Because yure is a combination of this kanji and then re, which means spirit, right? So yure means like a faint, dimly seen, like you can't quite make it out kind of a thing. Can't quite make it out, ghost, spirit, okay? So that's what a yure is a ghost. This is a modern Japanese catch-all term for ghosts, right? Now, this can also be used in a bunch of other things. One of my favorite uses for it is in the concept of yugem, which is like mystery. It's kind of this idea. It's a Japanese aesthetic idea where it's the thing that kind of is one of the major factors when you go to a no place. It's supposed to invoke in you this sense of mystery, the sense of like awe, like you're wandering around a dimly lit forest, and it might be a little freaky, maybe just a little bit freaky, but it's more compelling. It's like this compelling mystery, like, wow, I don't know if I'm in the real world now. I might be in some like magical nether realm or something like that. That's weird things are happening, but it's kind of cool, right? It's this mystical, magical feel about it. So this is a really cool kanji. I recommend. I like words that use it anyway. So then it becomes the kanji and you get your power to slow down time. Okay, and that was a little bit quick. I think this Kasugami's little bit is actually a little bit shorter than a lot of the other ones, which is great because that means I can get through this really quickly. And I didn't explain things as much as I typically do because, again, I am trying to shorten these things. But hopefully you did find that informative. Hopefully you did enjoy that. If you did, please don't forget to give the video a like. I can speak English. Sorry, it's early. It's first thing in the morning is what I'm doing. And please subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy it because there's still a few more of these to go. And then after this, there's some other games and some things that I would like to get into. So be here for that. And then, of course, there's always the main thing that I do, which is where I translate classical Japanese texts from the Konjaku Monogatari Shu, and I put them into English for your pleasure, for your listening pleasure, and your education, because this is one of the ways that we can understand history and the culture of ancient times. And feel free to share with anybody who you think might be interested in this, although can't be that many people who are that interested in learning the dead language version of Japanese, even though I think it's the coolest thing in the world, but whatever, to each their own. And hopefully we will see you next time for number, what is it going to be, 11? I can't remember what the next brushstroke god is. I think it's the cat. think it's the cat, which technically is not one of the 12, what are those called? It's not technically one of the 12 Chinese zodiac animals, but they included it in here. But anyway, thank you so much, guys. Have a good one. We'll see you later. Goodbye.